Chapter 1. Traveling Through a Book. Predicting the speech of the domineering president at the beginning. Mia felt that she had been unlucky for 8 lifetimes. She just stayed up all night to finish that American domineering president novel with an outrageous plot that could make people drop their jaws. How come she traveled through time and space in a book when she woke up? And she traveled through time and space as a cannon fodder character whose name didn't even appear in the novel. She looked at the unfamiliar face in the mirror. Her facial features were delicate, but it was completely different from her original appearance. She was looking at the mirror with a frown on her face when her phone vibrated. The assistant sent a message asking her to go to the president's office immediately. Mia's heart stomped. Damn it, is this going to be a box lunch as soon as she came here? After all, in that novel, the president Adrian Hunter was a man with an unpredictable temper, and he would kick out the minions at any time. Mia walked slowly towards the president's office. Every step was like stepping on cotton and her legs were so weak. She frantically recalled the plot of the novel in her mind, but her mind was full of the evil smile and melodramatic lines of the domineering president, and she couldn't remember how this cannon fodder disappeared. Finally reaching the door of the president's office, Mia took a deep breath and pushed the door open as if she was going to the execution ground. The office was ridiculously large and the decoration was extravagant. Behind the huge desk, Adrian Hunter was sitting there. He was wearing a custom-made suit and meticulously adjusting his tie. His posture and aura were exactly the standard of a domineering president from a novel. Woman, Adrian raised his eyes were sharp and he was ready to throw out his classic lines. Mia's brain twitched and she blurted out, "You successfully attracted my attention, right?" For a moment the air seemed to solidify. Adrian's hand holding the tie stopped in midair, his eyes were as big as copper bells, staring straight at Mia, and his eyes looked like he had seen a ghost. The secretary next to him was pretending to sort out the documents. When he heard this, his shoulders shook wildly, and his face turned red from trying to hold back his laughter. He couldn't hold the folder in his hand steadily and almost dropped it. "You," Adrian found his voice again and said in a tone of disbelief, "How do you know what I'm going to say?" Mia was also panicking, but she still pretended to be calm on the surface, shrugged and said, "I guessed it after all. Your lines are as old-fashioned as the aged red wine that has been in the supermarket for a long time and is about to expire." Adrian's brows were twisted into a knot, and just as he was about to open his mouth to refute, Mia said first, "Are you going to say, you are questioning me? Please change to something new, boss." The secretary couldn't help laughing and quickly covered her mouth, lowered her head and apologized, "Sorry, President, I really can't hold it back." Adrian glared at the secretary fiercely, and the secretary immediately stopped laughing like a frightened quail, wishing she could shrink into a ball. Adrian turned his gaze back to Mia, his eyes were full of inquiry as if he was looking at a rare animal. "Who are you? Don't play tricks on me." Mia's heart was beating fast, thinking that I could not have any background, I was just an unlucky time traveler. But she still said with a stiff upper lip, "What can I have? I am just an ordinary employee of your company. As for why I can guess what you are going to say, maybe I watched too many domineering CO dramas, and my brain circuits collided with yours." Adrian obviously didn't believe this explanation. He stood up, walked around the desk twice and looked Mia up and down like evaluating a commodity. Mia was uncomfortable with his gaze and silently prayed in her heart, "Brother, please don't see that I am a time traveler, otherwise I will lose my life. Okay, I'll let you go today." Adrian finally stopped and sat back in his chair, "But don't think you can get away with it by being a little clever. If something goes wrong at work, I'll still deal with you." Mia nodded hurriedly, "Of course I will work hard and not cause you any trouble." Adrian waved his hand and motioned Mia to go out. As soon as Mia turned around, she heard Adrian muttering in a low voice, "It's really strange, no one dares to talk to me like this." Mia walked out of the office, took a long breath, and her legs softened and she almost couldn't stand. She leaned against the wall and patted her chest. "Oh my God, this is too exciting, I almost got caught." Just as she was thinking, the secretary hurried out and saw Mia and couldn't help laughing again. "Sister, you are so awesome. I have been working here for so long, but this is the first time I have seen the president get humiliated." Mia smiled bitterly and said, "What's so awesome? I am just forcing him to do it. If I wasn't afraid of being fired, who would talk to him so much?" The secretary smiled and handed over a tissue. "Wipe your sweat, You just destroyed the president's prestige. But you should be careful too. Although the president has a bad temper, he is not a bad person. He just watched too many domineering CEO dramas and always likes to talk about those lines. Mia took the tissue and wiped the sweat from her forehead. Thank you for reminding me. I just had a brain twitch for a while and I don't know what to do in the future. Secretary Shu patted Mia on the shoulder. It's okay if you don't understand anything in the future, just ask me. By the way, my name is Linda, and we will be good sisters in the future. Mia looked at Linda gratefully. Thanks, Linda. Linda glanced at the office door and said in a low voice, in fact, the president is a good person, but he has been led astray by those domineering president dramas and always wants to show off in front of everyone. What you did today may be able to cure his problem. Mia smiled bitterly and shook her head. I don't have that ability. I'm thankful that I can keep my job. Linda smiled and said, don't be so pessimistic, maybe there will be surprises in the future. Come on, I'll take you to familiarize yourself with the company environment so that you can start your work in the future. Mia followed Linda to the elevator, still muttering in her heart. This time travel is really hard and I don't know when I can go back. But since I'm here, I'll make the best of it and save my life first. Chapter 2, Predicted Duel. The real story of the domineering president's blood pressure soaring. Since the last prejudgment speech incident, President Adrian Hunter felt like a thorn in his heart, always thinking about finding an opportunity to regain his face in front of Mia and let this ignorant little employee know who is the boss. Just a few days later, he called Mia into the conference room again, intending to use the business negotiation trick to crush her. When Mia walked into the conference room, she kept muttering in her heart that this domineering president must have something bad to say. Sure enough, Adrian sat at one end of the conference table, his hands crossed on the table with a self-righteous expression on his face. Mia, about this project with Company X. Adrian deliberately dragged out his voice, stood up, put his hands on the table, leaned forward and made a look of oppression. You'd better not dash. Mia didn't hesitate for a second and blurted out, don't challenge your bottom line easily, right? I can guess whether you will say, you are playing with fire, next. As soon as these words came out, Adrian's face, which was originally aggressive, froze instantly as if the pause button was pressed. He widened his eyes, and the expression on his face suddenly changed from full of confidence to unbelievable. His mouth slightly opened, but he couldn't say a word for a long time. Mia looked at him like this, secretly happy in her heart, but pretended to be innocent on the surface. What's wrong? Did I say something wrong? Adrian finally found his voice and stammered, how do you know what I'm going to say? Mia shrugged and looked relaxed. I said it, I've watched too many domineering CEO dramas. Guessing your lines is like guessing riddles, easy. Adrian's face flushed red like a ripe tomato, and the veins on his forehead were faintly exposed. He grabbed the pen on the table, trying to make himself look calmer with this action, but who knew that he used too much force, and the ink in the pen splashed out with a puff sound, spilling all over the table. Ah! Adrian was startled by this sudden situation, took a step back, and his hands and clothes were also stained with ink. Mia couldn't hold it back any longer and laughed so hard that tears almost came out. Boss, are you negotiating or acting a comedy? Adrian was angry and annoyed, staring at Mia fiercely. You're still laughing. This is all your fault. Mia smiled and waved her hands. I didn't do anything, you were just too excited. As she said that, she took out her mobile phone and dialed Jack's number skillfully. Hello, Jack. Mia said to the phone. Come to the conference room to save the situation. Your boss is sick again and he is so angry about his own routine that he bursts into ink. On the other end of the phone, Jack was stunned for a moment, and then there was a hearty laugh. Ha, I knew that this boss would be pitted by his boss disease sooner or later. I'll be there soon. Adrian listened to Mia's call, angry and helpless, sat down on the chair, looking at the ink on the table, not knowing which to deal with first. After a while, Jack rushed into the conference room in a hurry. When he saw Adrian's embarrassed look and then looked at Mia, who was laughing so hard that she couldn't straighten her back, he couldn't help laughing. I say, Adrian, what's wrong with you? The negotiation turned out like this. Was it Mia who dealt with you? Adrian said unhappily. You're still laughing. It's all her fault. She always guesses what I'm going to say and I can't even talk properly. Jack walked to Adrian with a smile and patted his shoulder. I usually told you to watch less domineering CEO dramas, but you just didn't listen. Now you've been outwitted. Mia also stopped laughing, sat on the chair and said seriously, "Actually, Adrian, if you really want to talk about business, don't always think about those domineering seal lines. Can't we talk properly?" Adrian snorted. "What do you know, this is my aura and you have to have momentum when negotiating." Jack shook his head. This is not momentum, it's clearly funny. Look at you, if the partners see what happened today they will think our company is unreliable." Adrian was speechless. He looked at the ink on his body and the mess on the table and sighed helplessly. What should we do now? Should we still talk about this cooperation? Mia thought about it and said, "Talk about it, why not? But this time you listen to me, let's talk normally, don't do those fancy things." Adrian hesitated for a while and finally nodded. "Okay, let's try it. But if you mess up, you are responsible." Mia said confidently, "Don't worry, if you mess up, I will let you deal with it." So, under Mia's command, Adrian quickly changed into clean clothes, and the three of them reorganized the meeting room and prepared to have a video conference with the partners again. After the video was connected, the partner saw Adrian and was stunned for a moment. "President Adrian, I heard that there was a little problem just now?" Adrian smiled awkwardly. "It's just a little accident, it won't affect our cooperation." Mia whispered, speak normally, speak normally." Adrian took a deep breath and began to seriously introduce the advantages of the project and the cooperation plan. This time he did not use those domineering lines again and spoke clearly and logically. The partner listened and nodded frequently, and the two sides soon entered the substantive negotiation stage. During the negotiation process, Mia also interjected a few words from time to time and put forward some constructive opinions. Adrian found that although Mia usually liked to quarrel with him, she was really good at work and many of her views were unique. After some efforts, this cooperation was surprisingly smooth, and the two sides soon reached a preliminary intention. After hanging up the video call, Adrian let out a long sigh and looked at Mia. "I didn't expect it to work." Mia smiled and said, "Of course, business talks have to be honest. Your bossy routines can only bluff people." Jack joked, "Okay, Adrian, you have to admit that Mia is right now. Don't make those inexplicable bossy speeches in the future." Although Adrian was still unconvinced, he had to admit in his heart that Mia helped a lot this time. He looked at Mia and said, "You are awesome, but don't think that's enough. You still need to perform well in your work in the future." Mia shrugged, "Don't worry, I will definitely work hard. But you have to promise me to watch less domineering dramas, otherwise you might make a fool of yourself next time." Adrian rolled his eyes at her. I know, you are the only one who talks too much." The three of them walked out of the meeting room and Jack smiled and said, "Today's incident can be written into a joke. Let's go, I'll buy you a cup of coffee to celebrate the success of this cooperation." Mia and Adrian followed Jack to the tea room. Along the way the three of them talked and laughed. Who would have thought that a negotiation that was originally tense would end in such a relaxed and funny way? Chapter 3. Doctor reveals the secret. The boss's strange occupational disease. After the two embarrassing incidents of Mia accurately predicting his speech, Adrian's prestige in the company seemed to be a little precarious. The employees did not dare to say anything on the surface, but they were secretly talking about it, saying that the president was completely subdued by the new Mia. Adrian was so depressed that he decided to find an opportunity to find out what was going on with Mia. That day, Adrian invited Jack to his private club, intending to complain to him while tasting wine. As soon as Jack sat down, Adrian couldn't wait to speak. "Jack, you have to help me think of a solution. Mia's too weird. She can always guess what I'm going to say. I'm like a transparent person in front of her." Jack picked up the red wine glass, shook it gently, took a sip and showed a sly smile on his face. "I think it's not Mia who is weird, it's you who are too into the play." Adrian frowned, looking puzzled. "Into the play? What do you mean?" Jack put down the wine glass and said with a smile, "Don't you understand yet? You are obsessed with those domineering CO dramas, and you keep saying the lines in the drama all day long. Mia probably heard too much and naturally guessed what you were going to say." Adrian widened his eyes, his face full of disbelief. "How is it possible? I just watch it occasionally to relax. It's not as exaggerated as you say." Jack laughed so hard that he fell backwards. "Watch it occasionally? You almost use those lines as daily language. Last time at the family meeting, you almost said, 'Whoever opposes, we will acquire him.' If Mia hadn't gotten there first, you would have been embarrassed. Adrian's face flushed slightly and he coughed twice in embarrassment. Is it so serious? Jack patted his shoulder. You haven't realized it yet. Think about it, when you are in the company, you always put on a domineering posture and say those exaggerated lines. The employees don't dare to laugh on the surface, but I don't know how they laugh behind their backs. Adrian was silent. He recalled the previous scenes and it seemed to be true. He always thought that he was very aura, but he didn't expect that he was a joke in the eyes of others. Just then Mia suddenly appeared. It turned out that Jack had secretly sent a message to Mia, asking her to cure Adrian's domineering disease together. Mia came over carelessly and sat down on the sofa next to her. Hey, what are you two handsome guys talking about? Are you talking about me? Adrian saw Mia and a trace of discomfort flashed across his face. Why are you here? Mia smiled and said, Jack asked me to come here saying that he wanted to help you get rid of your domineering boss disease. Adrian sat up straight when he heard it and retorted, I don't have any domineering boss disease, don't talk nonsense. Mia and Jack looked at each other and laughed together. Mia said, You still don't admit it? Look at you, you talk like you're in a TV show. Can you be normal? Adrian was a little angry. Why am I abnormal? I'm acting like a leader. Jack smiled and said, Come on, this is not leadership at all. You've been brainwashed by the Domineering CO TV show. If you keep going like this, your employees will make fun of you. Adrian's face turned pale and red, and although he was reluctant to admit it, he knew that what Jack and Mia said made sense. He sighed and said helplessly, Then what do you say? Mia's eyes lit up and she said excitedly, I have a way. From today on, Jack and I will help you get rid of this habit. We will supervise you, and as long as you say those domineering lines, you will be fined $100. Adrian's eyes widened. $100? That's too much. Mia shrugged. Not much, not much, this is to make you remember. Think about it, if you say those embarrassing lines again on important occasions, the loss will be more than $100. Adrian hesitated for a moment and finally nodded. Okay, let's try. But if I change it, you have to treat me to a meal. Jack and Mia looked at each other and smiled and said, No problem, it's a deal. So, a campaign to rectify the domineering disease officially began. The next day at work, Adrian just walked into the company and saw a big note on his desk, which read, No domineering lines are allowed and violators will be fined $100. He shook his head helplessly and peeled off the note. After a while, the secretary came in to report on his work. Adrian listened and habitually wanted to say, How can you do things when you can't even handle such a small matter? When the words came to his lips, he suddenly remembered the agreement with Mia and Jack and quickly shut up. The secretary looked at him and hesitated with a puzzled look on his face. President, what's wrong with you? Adrian smiled awkwardly. It's okay, you continue. After the secretary left, Adrian breathed a sigh of relief. He said to himself, It's really not easy to change this habit. At this time Mia pushed the door in. When she saw Adrian, she deliberately said provocatively, Hey boss, you didn't say those domineering lines today? Adrian rolled his eyes at her. Don't provoke me, I won't be fooled. Mia smiled and said, Okay, you have some perseverance. But I'm watching you. If you say something wrong, you will be fined. Adrian snorted. Just wait and see, I will definitely change it. In the next few days, Adrian was very careful every day for fear of accidentally saying those domineering lines. Several times he almost blurted it out, but he held back at the critical moment. Mia and Jack were not idle either. They always supervised Adrian and reminded him immediately if he showed any signs of saying something wrong. Once, the company held a general staff meeting. Adrian went on stage to speak. As he spoke, he entered the domineering mode again. He raised his hand and waved, saying loudly, I believe that under my leadership our company will. He suddenly realized that he had said something wrong and stopped quickly. The employees in the audience looked at him in confusion, wondering why he suddenly paused. Mia couldn't help laughing in the audience and she said loudly, Boss, fine $100. Adrian's face flushed red. He smiled awkwardly and said, Sorry, I was a little excited just now. Let's continue. The employees in the audience reacted and laughed. After a period of hard work, Adrian finally slowly got rid of the habit of saying the boss's lines. He found that when he communicated with the employees in a normal way, Everyone seemed to be closer to him and the work efficiency was also improved a lot. That day, Adrian called Mia and Jack to the office and said with a smile, "Thanks to you two, I have finally gotten rid of that bad habit. According to the agreement, you have to treat me to a meal." Mia and Jack looked at each other and said with a smile, "No problem, I'll go after get off work today. But don't go back to your old ways." Adrian waved his hand, "Don't worry, I don't want to be laughed at by you again." The three walked out of the office and walked towards the elevator talking and laughing. The sun shone on them through the window and everything seemed so beautiful. Who would have thought that a farce, caused by a domineering drama would eventually become an interesting and warm memory? Chapter 4. Family Crisis. Chaos caused by prediction. On the day of the Hunter family meeting, the atmosphere was as solemn as the sky before a storm. In the conference room, Adrian's uncles sat around the long table with scrutiny and doubt on their faces. The company has recently faced a serious crisis, and several old fox uncles have pointed the finger at Adrian, believing that his wrong decision led to the current situation. Adrian sat in the main seat, frowning, holding back his anger, thinking that he must calm down the situation today. At the beginning of the meeting, Leo took the lead in attacking. He knocked on the table and said with dissatisfaction, "Adrian, look at the company's current performance. It has been declining all the way. What are you doing?" Adrian took a deep breath, stood up, put his hands on the table and prepared to respond with his most domineering attitude. He just opened his mouth and uttered a word, "I." At this time, the door of the conference room was suddenly slammed open, and Mia rushed in like a gust of wind, shouting, "Sorry I'm late." Everyone's eyes turned to Mia, and Adrian was so angry that he almost jumped up. He lowered his voice and shouted, "Mia, are you crazy? This is a family meeting, who let you in?" But Mia was like nothing happened, smiling and said, "Don't be angry, I'll help you." As she said that, she swaggered to Adrian's side and stood still. Adrian wanted to get angry, but Mia suddenly interrupted him and said to Leo, "Leo, right? Don't be angry yet. I guess Adrian will say next, whoever opposes we will acquire him, right?" As soon as these words came out, the conference room was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Everyone stared at Mia with wide eyes in shock. Adrian almost bit his tongue. His face flushed red. He didn't know whether it was because of anger or embarrassment. Leo was stunned for several seconds before he reacted. He looked at Adrian and sneered, "Adrian, is this your new trick? Find a little girl to say these big words for you?" Adrian waved his hands and explained, "No, I didn't ask her to say that. I didn't intend to say that at all." But who would believe him at this time? Ryan also said, "Humph, Adrian, if you can't solve the problem, don't pretend to be the boss here. The family business is not for you to show off." Adrian was sweating profusely. He glared at Mia fiercely and whispered, "What are you doing?" Mia looked innocent and whispered back, "I'm helping you. Don't you usually say these things?" Adrian almost fainted from anger. He really couldn't argue now. At this time, Jack also ran in breathlessly. When he saw the chaotic scene, he knew that there was trouble again. Jack walked to Adrian and whispered, "I knew Mia would make some trouble. Don't panic." Then he cleared his throat and said to everyone, "Uncles, don't worry. Adrian has been trying to solve the company's problems during this period, but there is a misunderstanding in today's situation." Leo snorted coldly, "Misunderstanding? It's like this and there is still a misunderstanding." Mia rolled her eyes and suddenly said loudly, "Actually, this is all intentional. Adrian wants to give everyone a surprise and show his determination to solve the problem. You see, he even prepared his lines. Although I said it in advance, it also proves that he has the confidence to solve the company's crisis, right?" Adrian almost lost his balance after hearing Mia's words. He thought to himself, "This woman can really talk nonsense." But now he can only follow her words. So Adrian said, "Yes, I do want everyone to know my determination. I will definitely solve this crisis." Leo and Ryan looked at each other, obviously not believing them. Ryan said, "What's the use of just talking? Take practical action. We don't want to see the company collapse like this." Mia patted her chest and said, "Don't worry, uncles. Adrian already has a detailed plan, but he hasn't had time to tell everyone yet. Right, Adrian?" After that, she poked Adrian with her elbow. Adrian could only nod. Yes, the plan is already being implemented and will soon be effective." At this time, the fourth uncle who had been silent suddenly spoke. In this case, then I will give you another chance. However, if you mess up again, don't blame us for being rude. Adrian quickly agreed. I will definitely not let you down. The meeting ended in chaos. Adrian returned to the office, sat down on the chair and breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at Mia and Jack and said helplessly, "You two have caused me so much trouble. What's the big deal today?" Mia smiled and said, "Isn't this helping you resolve the crisis? You see, although your uncles don't believe it, at least they don't push you too hard." Jack also nodded and said, "Mia is right. Although the process is a bit messy, at least the situation has been stabilized temporarily. However, you really have to find a solution to the company's crisis as soon as possible." Adrian rubbed his temples. "I know, I have been thinking about it during this period, but I haven't been completely sure yet." Mia said, "Why don't we discuss it together? Maybe I can help." Adrian looked at Mia, hesitated for a moment and finally nodded. "Okay, let's think of a solution together. But don't be so reckless next time. You almost killed me." Mia stuck out her tongue. "I know, I won't do it next time." So the three of them sat around the desk and began to discuss the company's crisis solution. Adrian found that although Mia was usually careless, she was very quick-witted and made many constructive suggestions. During the discussion, Adrian gradually regained his confidence. He believed that as long as everyone worked together, they would be able to overcome this difficulty. The sunlight outside the window sprinkled in the office and on the faces of the three people who were discussing seriously. Although the road ahead was still difficult at this moment, they were full of hope. Who would have thought that an originally serious family crisis meeting would become so dramatic because of Mia's prejudgment and recklessness? Chapter 5. Misunderstandings escalate. The boss's heart-moving mistake. Since the last family meeting farce, Adrian's attitude towards Mia has become a little subtle. He himself didn't realize that he always unconsciously found excuses to get close to Mia, sometimes discussing work and sometimes asking her to help organize the materials. That day, Adrian walked into Mia's office with 2 cups of coffee, trying to make himself look more natural, but his slightly trembling hands still exposed his nervousness. "Mia, this is your favorite latte." He put the coffee on Mia's desk and tried to speak in a calm tone. Mia looked at him in confusion and kept muttering in her heart, "What is this boss doing? Is he looking for another opportunity to make things difficult for me?" She looked at Adrian warily. "If you are too attentive to me, you are either a traitor or a thief. Tell me, what do you want to do to me again?" Adrian was stunned for a moment. He wanted to show his goodwill, but he didn't expect to be misunderstood by Mia. He stammered to explain, I just saw that you were working hard, so I bought you a cup of coffee. I didn't mean anything else." Mia raised her eyebrows. "Oh? Really? Will you say, woman, you have to pay for this cup of coffee later?" Adrian didn't know whether to laugh or cry and waved his hands helplessly. "Please, I have changed and I won't say those words again." He sat down opposite Mia, rubbed his hands, hesitated for a long time and finally mustered up the courage to say, "Mia, actually I want to ask you if you are free this weekend." When Mia heard this, she immediately took 3 steps back, crossed her arms and looked defensive. Stop. Don't try to use the domineering CEO routine to invite me to a private island for negotiation, or to a luxury villa to discuss work. It's so old-fashioned that I won't be fooled." Adrian widened his eyes and looked confused. "I didn't think so. I just wanted to ask you out." "No need to say it, I refuse." Mia interrupted him neatly. "I don't know what you are thinking. You want to use these old-fashioned tricks to deal with me? No way." Adrian opened his mouth and wanted to explain, but Mia didn't give him a chance at all. She stood up directly. "If there is nothing else, I'm still busy." After that, she pushed Adrian out of the office. Adrian stood at the door of the office, looking frustrated. He couldn't figure it out. He just wanted to ask Mia out for dinner. Why was he misunderstood like this? He sighed helplessly and decided to complain to Jack. Jack laughed so hard after hearing Adrian's experience. You've watched too many domineering CEO dramas, and now you can't even ask a girl out normally. Mia must have been scared by your previous behavior, so she's so defensive against you." Adrian scratched his hair in annoyance. "What should I do now? I really like her and don't want her to misunderstand me." Jack patted his shoulder. "You have to take your time and impress her with your sincerity. Don't use those empty tricks. By the way, didn't you say before that the company is going to hold a charity dinner? You can invite her to be your female companion and perform well at the dinner. Adrian's eyes lit up. That's a good idea. But how can I invite her so that she won't misunderstand me? Jack thought for a while. Just tell the truth, don't beat around the bush. Tell her that this is a charity event and you think she is very suitable to participate together, and be sincere. Adrian took a deep breath. Okay, I'll try. A few days later, Adrian found Mia again. This time he didn't bring coffee, nor did he make any extra moves. He just stood in front of Mia and said seriously, Mia, the company will hold a charity dinner in a few days and I want to invite you to be my female companion. This is a very meaningful event and I think you will be interested. It's not some domineering routine, but I just want to participate with you. I hope you can agree. Mia looked at Adrian's sincere eyes and was a little shaken, but still half believing and half doubting. Is it really just like this? No other purpose? Adrian nodded quickly. Really, I swear. Mia hesitated for a moment and finally nodded. Okay, then I will believe you once. However, if you dare to play any tricks, I will not forgive you. Adrian breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. Don't worry, I will never do that. However, things did not go so smoothly. Just one day before the dinner, Mia overheard several colleagues talking about Adrian's previous announcement of some important business decisions at the dinner every time he brought a female companion to the dinner. And those female companions were just his foils. Mia was furious when she heard this, thinking, sure enough, this boss is still stubborn and wants to use me again. On the day of the dinner, Adrian was wearing a neat suit and waiting for Mia at the hotel entrance early. Mia showed up in a beautiful evening dress, but there was no smile on her face. Adrian went up to her and was about to praise Mia's beauty, but Mia said coldly, Adrian, what do you want to do? Do you want to use me to announce your business decision at the dinner again? Adrian was confused. What are you talking about? I don't have this plan. Mia snorted. Are you still pretending? I heard from my colleagues that you had a purpose for bringing your female companion to the dinner before. Do you think I would be so easily fooled? Adrian realized that Mia had misunderstood him again. He hurriedly explained, Mia, you misunderstood. Those are all things of the past. This time is really different. I just want to spend a wonderful night with you. There is no commercial purpose. I swear. Mia looked at Adrian's anxious look and felt a little confused. Did she really misunderstand him? At this moment, Jack came over. He saw that the atmosphere between the two was not right and asked hurriedly, What's wrong? What happened? Mia told Jack what happened. Jack didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Mia, you really misunderstood Adrian. He really likes you this time. He spent a lot of time preparing for this dinner. You see, the theme of tonight's dinner was specially chosen by him. It is related to charity. He just wants you to see his kind side. Mia listened to Jack's words and the doubts in her heart gradually disappeared. Adrian also took the opportunity to say, Mia, believe me, give me a chance, you will know my heart tonight. Mia looked at Adrian's sincere eyes and finally nodded. Okay, I will believe you again. If you lie to me, I will never talk to you again. Adrian breathed a sigh of relief and stretched out his hand with a smile. Then let's go in, tonight will definitely be wonderful. Mia hesitated for a moment, but still put her hand on Adrian's hand. The two walked into the banquet hall together and a misunderstanding was temporarily resolved. But what will happen in the future? Whether Adrian can really win Mia's heart is unknown. Chapter 6. The Ultimate Rescue. Prediction reverses the crisis. Just after the charity dinner storm, the relationship between Adrian and Mia finally eased a little. However, before the two of them could enjoy this rare harmony, the company encountered an unprecedented crisis. Adrian's rival, the insidious and cunning Taylor, the president of the rival company, carefully set a trap in an attempt to defeat the Hunter Group in one fell swoop. That day, Adrian was invited by Taylor to attend a so-called business cooperation meeting. Mia always felt that this matter was weird and uneasy, so she followed Adrian shamelessly. When they arrived at the agreed place, Taylor came up with a fake smile on his face. Adrian, long time no see, this time there is a big project which will definitely make our two companies earn a lot of money. As he said, he took out a contract and handed it to Adrian. Adrian took the contract and just read a few lines. His face became very ugly. He suppressed his anger and looked up at Taylor. Taylor, what do you mean? This contract is full of traps. Are you trying to trick me? Taylor pretended to be innocent, spread his hands and said, Adrian, don't get me wrong, this contract is for the benefit of both parties. There is absolutely no problem. Mia stood aside, looking at Taylor's hypocritical face and felt angry. She whispered to Adrian's ear, this guy must have bad intentions, don't be fooled. Adrian nodded and was thinking about how to respond when Taylor spoke again. Adrian, if you don't sign this contract, you will miss a great opportunity. Moreover, if it is reported that you refuse to cooperate, it will be bad for your company's reputation. Before Adrian could speak, Mia suddenly stood up, imitating Adrian's usual domineering look, with her hands on her hips and said loudly, Taylor, your methods are too naive. With just this little trick you still want to deceive us? Do you think we are 3-year-old children? Taylor was startled by Mia's sudden move. He was stunned for a moment, then sneered and said, Who are you? How can you speak here? Mia stared at Taylor fearlessly. It doesn't matter who I am, what matters is that there is something wrong with your contract. Do you think we can't see your ambition to swallow up our company? Tell you no way. Adrian looked at Mia and was surprised and moved. He also stood up and said confidently, Taylor, don't be too proud. Don't think you can just get away with what happened today. Taylor's face turned ugly. He didn't expect Mia and Adrian to be so tough. He rolled his eyes and suddenly changed his face. In this case there is nothing to talk about. But Adrian, you have to think clearly. There is no good result if you offend me. Mia couldn't help but retort when she heard it. Oh, you are threatening me? Who do you think you are? We, Adrian, are not afraid of you. Taylor's face turned red with anger. He glared at Mia fiercely, then threw his sleeves and left with his men. Adrian looked at Taylor's departing back, breathed a sigh of relief, turned to Mia and said, Thank you, Mia. If it weren't for you, I really don't know how to deal with it. Mia smiled and waved her hand. Why are you being polite to me? We are now in the same boat. However, Taylor will definitely not give up. We have to find a way to deal with it quickly. Adrian nodded, and after the two returned to the company, they immediately convened a think tank to discuss countermeasures together. After some discussion, they finally found a loophole in Taylor's plan. It turned out that Taylor secretly violated the rules in order to set this trap. As long as they caught this handle, they could counter him. Mia said excitedly, Great, let's see how arrogant he is. Let's use this evidence to expose his conspiracy to the public. Adrian looked at Mia with admiration in his eyes. Mia, you are really my lucky star. If this can succeed, it's all thanks to you. Mia was a little embarrassed by Adrian's praise, her face flushed slightly. Don't just praise me, take action quickly. So Adrian and Mia took the evidence to the industry regulatory department and reported Taylor's violations. Not long after, Taylor was investigated and his conspiracy was completely bankrupt. When the news came, there was a cheer in the company. Adrian and Mia stood in front of the French window in the office, looking at the city scenery outside with a lot of emotion in their hearts. Adrian turned his head and looked at Mia affectionately. Mia, I'm grateful for having you by my side during this period. Not only did you help me get rid of those bad habits, but you also saved the company at a critical moment. I'm really grateful to you. Mia looked at Adrian and was touched. Adrian, I'm actually very grateful to you too. It's you who made me feel present in this company and allowed me to play my own value. The two looked at each other and the atmosphere became a little subtle. Suddenly, Mia seemed to remember something and said with a smile, By the way, Adrian, don't watch those domineering CEO dramas anymore, otherwise you will be led astray again. Adrian also laughed. Don't worry, after this time I will never watch it again. The routines in those dramas don't work at all in reality. It is still the real feelings and efforts that are the most reliable. Mia nodded. That's good. But if you do it again in the future, I will not show mercy. Adrian smiled and said, No, absolutely not. By the way, to celebrate the resolution of this crisis, I will treat you to a meal. There is no routine this time, just a simple thank you. Mia thought about it and said mischievously, Okay, since you are so sincere, I will agree to it. But I want a big meal. Adrian smiled and nodded. No problem, whatever you order. The two walked out of the office together, ready to enjoy this hard-earned relaxing time. After this crisis, their relationship has become closer. The road ahead is still long, but they are full of confidence to face everything that is coming together. Chapter 7. Happy Ending. The final chapter of Domineering President Literature. Since successfully resolving the company crisis last time, Adrian and Mia have become closer, and their laughter can be heard from time to time in the office. However, Mia is still on guard, fearing that Adrian will be possessed by the domineering president's spirit again one day. That day, Adrian mysteriously called Mia to the company rooftop. Mia's heart tightened and she muttered to herself, "What does this domineering president want to do? Don't do anything weird again." As soon as he arrived at the rooftop, Adrian rubbed his hands nervously, with a rare shyness on his face. Mia looked at him and teased, "Hey Adrian, what's wrong with you? Are you going to say something like, 'Woman, you are mine again'?" Adrian didn't know whether to laugh or cry and waved his hands quickly. "Mia, stop teasing me, I have something to do today." He took a deep breath and looked at Mia seriously. "Mia, I have been working with you and facing difficulties together for a while, and I find that I can't live without you anymore. I like you, not the exaggerated kind of love in the domineering CO drama, but real love." Mia's eyes widened, a hint of surprise flashed across her face, and then she pretended to be suspicious. "Suspicious? Really? You are not acting as a domineering CO chasing love, right? I warn you, don't try to fool me with these old-fashioned plots." Adrian was so anxious that his face turned red and he hurriedly explained, "I swear this time I am absolutely sincere. Since I met you, I understand what true love is. It is not based on those gorgeous lines and exaggerated actions, but real care and companionship." Mia looked at Adrian's anxious look and couldn't help laughing. "Okay, I believe you. In fact, during this period of time, I also found that although you had a bit of domineering CEO syndrome before, you are not bad at heart and you are quite cute." Adrian was so happy when he heard it and was about to reach out to hold Mia's hand. At this time, the door of the rooftop was suddenly knocked open, and Jack rushed in with a mobile phone in his hand. "I finally caught up. I must take pictures of your confession scene as material, and edit it into a romantic comedy ending in the future. It will definitely be a hit." Mia and Adrian were caught off guard by this sudden scene. Adrian glared at Jack in anger. "Why are you like a paparazzi? Can't you let people have a good relationship?" Jack smiled and said, "This is called recording beautiful moments. You will definitely do it in the future, will thank me. Besides, I am here to help you make this story more perfect." Mia was also amused. "Okay Jack, stop talking nonsense. However, your timing is really perfect, almost ruining the atmosphere of Adrian's confession." Jack shrugged. "I am just too excited. By the way, since you two are together, don't you have to treat me to a meal to celebrate?" Adrian smiled helplessly. "Okay, I know you have bad intentions, it's just a meal, you can't miss it." The three of them left the rooftop and returned to the office. When their colleagues saw them like this, they immediately surrounded them and asked about it. "Mia, Adrian, do you two have any good news? Tell me, are you together?" Mia and Adrian smiled at each other and admitted generously, "Yes, we are together." Cheers and applause rang out in the office instantly and everyone sent their blessings. Since then, Adrian and Mia's daily interactions have become a landscape in the company. When the two discuss work together, Adrian occasionally blurts out one or two of his old bossy catchphrases, and Mia will immediately tease him. "Hey, are you having the bossy disease again?" Adrian will scratch his head embarrassedly and quickly correct himself. Once, the company organized a team-building activity and everyone played role-playing games. The role Adrian drew happened to be a domineering president. Mia looked at him in a suit and tie, pretending to be cool and couldn't help laughing. "You acted too much like a boss, aren't you acting yourself?" Adrian smiled and responded, "That's different. This time it's acting. I'm a real ordinary person now, an ordinary person who belongs to you alone." After the team-building activity, everyone sat together and chatted. Mia said with emotion, "I never thought that I would encounter so many interesting things and meet such nice people after traveling to this world." Jack asked curiously, "Travel? What travel? Mia, what are you talking about?" Mia realized that she had let the cat out of the bag. She looked at Adrian, then at everyone, and simply told them everything about her travel. After hearing this, everyone was so surprised that they couldn't close their mouths. "So you came from another world. No wonder you are always so special. Can you go back?" Mia shook her head. "I don't know, but now I feel that this is my home. With you and Adrian, I am already very satisfied." Adrian held Mia's hand and said affectionately, "No matter where you come from, I hope you can stay with me forever. The afterglow of the sunset sprinkled on everyone, warm and beautiful. The story of Adrian and Mia started from an absurd farce of traveling through a book, and now it has become a love story full of laughter and sweetness. In the days to come, they may encounter various interesting things, but no matter what, they know that they will always be with each other and write their own relaxed and happy life chapter together. And this wonderful experience will become the most precious memory in their hearts, which they will take out from time to time to reminisce and smile at each other.